Abusiafo native for high Alpha 1GH. And then our first time about so I need no book and so subscribe ya mine. Say being news be no she be being notification phone so na be having so e ma be so be share more than for so enye for me and Kens and so thing. Ini ni yakoso koka ti se ne abetodwa ama kodrule ni adede bebre baba so edifa eye beka 7 seater ya flip di ama MPP amanyuko 4 seater bebre na babetodwa Jubilation Kesi pa na Haiti NDC amanyuko right now as we speak. Ni nim se NDC amanyuko no ewo 183 seat. Now right now no according to report be on so the ababetodwa or say according to own opinion senior ruling in course was a Supreme Court and neno ami was a 4 seat as our beka aye any samanu kunde no but ye say any samanu kun 183 seat and 4 beka ho now be 187 seat and this samanu kun across 2/3 dada now right now no say 4 seat be na beka ho was a Tema Central. Tema Central in say bright no. She say like so MP elect. I ablekuma north. A rabina obin on a beka MP elect right now. According to Supreme Court ruling and a babontino. Techman South. Any part nipa so right FN Christopher Bejiri also a MP elect. And Okakwi Central. Abdullah Baba Sadiq on a MP elect. On the 9th of January, no, artist be speaker for phone. Sound go for free, and your mind, yet sepium. Our money, they were come our wedding. Yabaka Ebeka in as an MP or Moncas constituency, a Yablikman North, Techiman South, a Yokai Central, and it is a Tema Central Nano. I don't mum ne be a Beka MP let. Coming with this information about needing commercial and also.
How then does Parliament proceed?
So the starting point, Mami, is that as we speak, per this Supreme Court's ruling and my understanding of that, the declarations made early on by the returning officers in those constituencies in Tema Central, Ablekuma North, Techiman South, and Akron Central Hoops, that would be the member of Parliament elect for Tema Central is Ebi Bright. The member of Parliament elect for Ablekuma North is Rabina Obin. The member of Parliament elect for Techiman South is Christopher Bayire. And then the member of Parliament elect for Kaikwe Central is Abdullah Baba Sadiq, the NDC Parliamentary candidates. Yeah. They would be expecting that the Electoral Commission would present their duly gazetted results to the Parliament of Ghana for them to be sworn in. If that is not done, and let's say, for instance, next week, when the court hears this mandamus application, the new judge and is minded to order a recollation, the results will now be recollated, and the new person who will be declared in all these 4 constituencies will be given to Parliament for them to be sworn in. If that recollation is unable to happen for any reason, or if this court case is not heard because of legal gymnastics or any other matter, the expectation will be that on the 7th of January, the members of Parliament elect who were duly declared at the time initially for Tema Central, Ablekuma North, the Techiman South, that is the NDC parliamentary candidates, will have to present themselves to Parliament to be sworn in. The legal catch is that these MPs, these persons cannot by themselves present themselves to Parliament to be sworn in. The Electoral Commission will have to duly gazette the results and communicate same to Parliament that these are the persons who are elected for these constituencies, for which reason these are the persons who must be sworn in. It would have been interesting if Blessed can get any of the Electoral Commission officials that this is the status quo that prevails now. Are they going to communicate to Parliament? Because we know that Parliament has so far gazetted 274 constituencies. That includes these 4 constituencies that have not been set aside. What that means is that there's currently before Parliament, there's no member of Parliament elect for Tema Central, Ablekuma North, Techiman South, and Akron Central until the Electoral Commission writes to Parliament and confirms that because of this new ruling, these are the new persons who have been elected. And all that have to be done. Today is Thursday. Today is Friday, actually. Then Friday. All these have to be done by Monday, when the process is going to continue. Members of Parliament, bar details and other things would have to be captured, their bank accounts to be paid, their ID cards to be issued so that they can enter the chamber. All these must be done before midnight of 6th January or 7th January, or there'll be chaos like we saw on the 21st of in 2021. And that is why the ball is now in the court of the Electoral Commission to either write to Parliament and get these NDC parliamentary candidates to be sworn in on the 7th of January.
Kwasi, we're grateful for your time on the polls, parliamentary affairs correspondent, and also a member of our legal affairs desk, telling us more about the events happening in the Supreme Court and also how Bobby Ban saying, and he's also going to
again for a determination of it on the merits, so that this time the applicants in the Supreme Court would be interested party in the mandamus application, and then the High Court differently constituted, meaning before a different judge, will determine whether or not the EC should go ahead and do the recollation of those 4 constituencies, the recollation of which the Supreme Court have quashed.
Declared. Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Bansi?
Yes, I don't know if you heard me, but if you can repeat your question.
Right. Can the persons earlier so declared carry themselves as MPs elect?
Unfortunately, I don't think they can. Once the Supreme Court have said that the basis for which they were declared, which is the second coalition, let me put it that way, or the recollation, is a nullity, it means that everything subsequent to that is also a nullity. It doesn't mean that they cannot subsequently be declared as MPs elect. What it means is that the Supreme Court said the mandamus application has not been quashed. So that application would again be heard by the High Court, and depending on the decision of this High Court, then the EC may or may not do another collation. And these people, based on the decision of the High Court, may either be declared as able to hold themselves out as
doesn't mean for the earlier results declared, you know,
the evidence which the EC had. The Supreme Court cannot quash that pink sheet. It means that if they go through the process and the evidence based on which
Mr. Barnes,
it's still there.
I keep losing you. Can you please reposition yourself so that you can go ahead?
Hello, can you hear me?
It's better now, yes.
Okay, so I'm saying that the evidence based on which the Supreme Court, the Electoral Commission declared them as MPs elect have not been quashed by the Supreme Court.
Indeed.
So if those pink sheets are still there and they are untainted, then the EC will only have to go through the process again. So the effect of this does not affect the evidence based on which one can be declared as MP or not. But the Supreme Court has only questioned the processes. That due process was not followed because persons who would have been affected by that decision of the High Court were not given an opportunity to be heard. So the Supreme Court have only said, go back. The High Court should give those persons an opportunity to be heard. If they are heard and the High Court still goes ahead to make the order for the recollation, the evidence that is available to the Electoral Commission, which may be the same pink sheet or not, I don't know, then based on that, the Electoral Commission may go through that process again and do a recollation. That is if the High Court grants the mandamus application. If the High Court does not grant the mandamus application, then what it means is that the collation that were done previously may be upheld. Well, and that will affect the status of those that have been elected based on the second collation.
Right. Can the interested parties apply for a review in this matter?
You mean the respondents, the Electoral Commission and the...
Indeed.
Well, the Supreme Court allows that for every decision that is given, the rules of the Supreme Court, you can apply for a review. But, you know, the ambit for the exercise of that review jurisdiction is very, very limited. And I don't think, listening to the arguments made and the ruling by the Supreme Court, there will be any legal basis for the decision to be reviewed. In any event, we are all interested in going to the merits of the case. And so it is not as if the Supreme Court has shut the door to those MPs. They have only said, go through the processes again, go back to the High Court. And so I believe that it will be in their own interest to go back to the High Court. Because like I said, if indeed the High Court orders the mandamus, the evidence based on which they were declared as parliamentary candidates, that evidence is tainted. And so instead of going through that review process, I believe that it will be in their best interest to go back to the High Court if they strongly believe in the evidence that the EC had at that time they did the second collation or the recollation.
Well, what do you think about the court's ruling that this question order does not affect Insewo Madreji and then Ahafo North? What do you make of that ruling?
The court was based on the fact that I think they said the collation had been done before, or I'm not sure. I didn't get that part of the decision, so I'll not be able to speak to it. As I heard the presiding judge read a paragraph in the applicant's application, affidavit in support, indicating that it seems that those constituencies, the collation had already been done before the order of the court. I am not sure. So that may not be one of the bases, or that may not have been affected by the decision of the High Court. I'm not sure. I would have to check what the basis is.
The recollation had not been done in those areas before.
Okay. Well, then I would have to check why, because I have not had the opportunity to read the affidavit in support of the application for the certiorari. Yeah, because I heard the presiding judge make reference to a particular paragraph in the affidavit in support of the application for certiorari, and said based on that, their decision would not affect those two constituencies. So I would have to read it.
Enough. Looking at the legal processes that's going to go into this, do you think there'll be enough time?
Abusia for in a report the year, Brawley Kosono, no be ama or de sa a year news ababetoja ama Jubilation Kesi ama NDC for a bose. If you video ni ma na or ibinumania Japan is a manugone binumaniaje, and so much Parliament kakrabaya na omiyed a bose. I say no, and the NDC same I atosa a 4 city me right now me MP let no. These are 7 flipper seat now more drinks or like my dear you know. Like a yen this man you sorry. Because it was a unlawful declaration be no more a illegal declaration be no more a dema a MP man you now right now I casano. I didn't yes a year be Canada print the ticket character, but in yante a concrete information be a de fasa a year or more collation of course ama as being called the ruling be about in yante information be na we no say once and the MP man kuna say because EC be declare bia or ni pin sheet and is a pin sheet no enu bi and no more share no more say seni omusi declare ebinum seat omo na ewini no dwene wa wonte ase they say another praise ya dwene wa ente as ono mum na MP elect according to NDC amanuko nse omo kan say sankrofo no omo dwen say omo ye MP elect nene force it bounce back e dia ma eye MPP NDC amanuko no ama se sia ye kasa no trainer kana tuzu ye de hange wona right now ye tweno why be declare aye ebeka illegal no enya dia on the 9th of January no any samanyuko be ma kwankwa mo Parliament ye kwakwe on ze ba be so in kwampo enti monya depa ni enti declare mo se mo na mawini anase mo na mo lose because mo ni se Ghana for apomosisi Ghana for empemo ni mahwe na se mo pesa mo ya na mo se ase mo akono na so mo nye enya akono magana fo bi Ghana for say MP we no mundi yeso enti nya wo by force na beka say ampeni ampa wo me na medi so utimi botu nyina amtana no nipa ko ne bu ni tu no ni onya kwampo ne en recover police for nya nka hwe fa wa ne o MP elect okro benso abra eye beka endi zamanyuko ne say akwankwa fa so declare no don pray as a winner kwampo no ye dwene warranty ase even one dwen say oh no don pray na kasa dwen so no MP let no ono wa cause so mo kwa no mu hoti no so MP let no person o kire sen coming with this information about to get back ni dem come try at also
as sworn in on January 7.
Well, I believe the High Court judge that will be constituted to hear the case will appreciate the exigencies of the matter. The Supreme Court, in exercise of their jurisdiction, ordered that the application be heard on the 31st, which is the Tuesday. And so if the decision by the High Court judge is delivered on that same 31st, which is doable, or adjourns to the second, I suspect that there will be enough time to finish the process and have whoever is declared an MP based on the decision of the High Court to be sworn in. Unless, of course, the decision of the High Court may also be subject to other appellate procedures or review procedures that may drag the matter beyond the 7th of January.
Indeed. Grateful for your time, Mr. Bobby Benson. He's a private legal practitioner, giving us more insights into the Supreme Court ruling. Well, also joining us on this particular decision is Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Mr. Mohammed, what are your views on the ruling by the Supreme Court?
Thank you very much. I first and foremost will say good afternoon to your cherished viewers out there, and concerned with all constituents of which the party, the lawyers for the MP will be represented in court as stated by the Supreme Court. So for us, we are not going to challenge and insult any judge on the panel. We believe that our courts are very competent enough, and we know that we can go to court and have our case being heard. Today, a court has ruled, and the NDC is happy. Tomorrow, when the same court is ruled again, they should be fair to the game and accept the pendulum that today it can be you, tomorrow it can be any other person else. And that is what we do understand. So for Sawam and the other constituency, I believe that the court was very explicit on this particular constituency. These are constituencies that we all have been saying that it's not all the constituencies that coalition was done. Some of them coalitions were not done. Notwithstanding the decision of the court, I believe that our lawyers will play a very great role in terms of the administration of justice. We will follow through to ensure that when the NDC is heard on the case of the Mandamus, with a change of a judge, we will still prevail in the process. That is what we pray, and that is what we will argue our case in court on Tuesday, 21st December.
Well, the decisions have been set aside in Okankwe North, Okankwe Central, Ablikama North, Tema Central, and Techiman South, which was previously called for you. I mean, this has been set aside now. How does the party, galvanize in that direction?
Yes, we still believe that the coalition processes as enshrined in CI 127, that is contained in Regulation 43 as in Declaration of Parliamentary Candidates. All the processes were not exhausted. If you read the rules under the regulations, that's Regulation 43, you will see that all polling stations should be guarded, and then all polling stations should be added to ascertain the winner for that particular election. In the case of Okaikwe, you can remember that even when the officer was coerced to declare, he said that out of 140 and 110 to be declared, and he went ahead, even with the threat of if you don't declare, you would not live here in peace, you will kill you and all that. He went ahead and stated clearly, and everybody knows that 30 polling stations were a matter of content which was not added. So the CI says that all polling stations put together constitute the coalition. So once the coalition was not done properly, in line with CI 127 Regulation 43 of the CI, I believe that the court will still prevail and the court will look at the matters and make a determination. So we are not perturbed in this particular process. We have gone through this before. We do understand the remedies that will apply in the court processes, and I think that our lawyers are very sound, and then things that will be able to. It is not something that anybody should be either be jubilating or crying over. I want to call on the rank and file of the MPP to be very sure and be very optimistic that the MPP is very sound and very resolute in making sure that the law will prevail, and our members of Parliament will truly be represented by the election and outcome that was so declared. In this matter, too, I don't think that the Supreme Court will also averted their mind to the fact that these declarations is what the Electoral Commission has gazetted. So we live to see what happens at the end of 31st December when these decisions will be reached, and then we would have a complete set of declarations for us to make. So we are not perturbed, we are not disturbed. Once we sign on to agree the fact that we are in a democracy and we believe in the rule of law, for us, we know that we can pursue this case to its logical conclusion.
Some for Binomontias, a Mungo review. According to information, it's no. Say a Binomontias, numbers are rule nearby, and a man for Montias, Musanko review. Because according to ruling Abano, ene dienano no neni di sa a year beka ene activities of course or Supreme Court no. And I say based on information and as a ruling a year Supreme Court at the Bible and me say a 4 seat as I any saman ko na about anya back according to no opinion no. Na a year Tema Central, a year Ablikuma North, a year Techiman South, Okaikwe Central. Himself Okaikwe Central na Amdala Baba Sadiq na ho. Techiman South Christopher Beji and ho. Abekuma North Rabra Obin na ho. Yehwe Techima Tema Central be bright and so and ho no. Sound kofo no right now as we speak no omeye MP elect. Na sa MP elect no omona on the 9th of January na ye speaker for no sa MP let right now say kwampo no say seat na kana hangi on this 4 seat na sa ko ekura January mu ne do 9 fa sa 4 seat no I dey ama ndi saman ko right now according to no opinion no ade a sa nkofo na be dey ye be so me as an MP na wana omo ye declare omo illegally no according to NDC amanyuko ndi omo ka omo ka like in some omo ka na chese omo say si declare who sit no illegally ya ube MP let o wanga sa dream but onye MP let o constituency no because nya don ma o kwan omo abora aye beka Parliament near Casa Woman na bedding, obeying for your constituency and ordering so we no. A please another pray. Obeying him another pray, a lucis city. Nenzo, some ya no more chacha, then another demand on pray. Right now, I 7 flip city no. I had there another pray, Casa 7 flip city no. I don't mind Fiaman you couldn't, but in no 4 city and 4 city, I cut 3 out of 7 flip city and my Piaman you couldn't. Telling a bezanya na pack because him son on brain city no illegal in the area decline is why they will lose it. And the giant say not just why they will lose it. Now right now no say and yan dear NDC bia bedding being sort of judge ni bia say or na years one na ye new be obi no be di obi ante obi no also be challenge it ruling no rule never bonte no authentic good excellent into behind the engine too. Why want to no once I'm franco for review. Minza se mo matwe time ansa kwampo na 9th of January na drew still on that twase no time umpeo any zamanuko no benya to 3rd of Parliament. As we speak right now na ye green say as we speak right now no ya dey na 183 seats down that 84 na be kan no Amia benya 187 as a near to 3rd kwamana amana broso enti MP for ni pill omumpe mama Parliament no program on share a live Parliament ruling and Parliament business no more tablet for na mo share o program mama because omo ye super majority on bit mind ama niema business akoso Parliament as and semi binom kan just a bit mind ache our comment a bit in so share among them for so any higher for one teacher coming now.